it's warm, really warm. I've come inside. 37. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the weather. So British. So welcome to Life at Grace Cottage. This is kind of the start, I think, of whatever this vlog is going to be. I'm no interior designer, but I'm crafty and I'm creative, and I've got a degree somewhere dusty where I had to use a program called Adobe Illustrator, and I just thought I'll just pull everything that I know and I'll draw and I'll sketch and I'll plan, and I think, yeah, what I'm hearing in the industry at the moment is that we're losing our way of knowing our identity or our personal choices in a home, or we're not taking, I mean, I've heard it described as risks, but it's not really a risk. If you love it, you've got to live with it, nobody else. But I guess also, you know, we're sharing our homes to a larger audience as well, and is there a pressure or a fear of being scrutinised for a choice? And I think it made sense for this platform and this kind of YouTube that I want to do, that it's important that I explain my process, because that might give you an idea of, you know, of making it more personal. And it couldn't get more personal, this home. You know, it stretches back 5 generations. I've had, you know, my great-great-grandparents were the first people to rent this house when it was reconstructed into a Victorian villa home. My grandparents were the second people to buy it, and you know, they've had a lovely long life here, and it's now in our hands. So I feel like I have all of this wonderful history and connection, and then on top of that, I mean, it's an amazing house. Just even the history of knowing that it used to be 2 houses and now it's 1, that it was designed to be a villa, which is a like a holiday home for the Victorians. So this, you know, I already know the period that it was kind of designed in, where the layout of things would have been. So I'm taking that into consideration when I'm designing rooms, that I want to feel like each room echoes its history in some way. And then I'm, on top of those little layers, I'm kind of weaving in my own taste or emotion or something that ignites. Sometimes I can't even explain it. So we were digging up the front garden, we were putting, I think he was making a channel for something, I don't know, probably electric or water, not my domain. It's probably a good thing it's not my domain. And Lee called me over and he said, there's loads of blue and white crockery in the floor, like it's all just been chucked in. And I love ceramics. I love a little bit of burley. And my nanny had Crown Derby, which I've also got my own collection, and my godmother, she used to buy a piece for me every year. So I have my own collection of Crown Derby. So I've always been fond of pretty ceramics. But there was just something so wonderful. There's a little chair that Nanny upholstered in one of the top room at the back of the house, which is now our main bedroom, and it was all blue and white. And I love this little chair. I just was obsessed with it, so much so that I've mended it and it's in the hallway. But it kind of, I don't know, there was just something about it. It felt very French, like my mum lives in France, this lovely grey French blue. It's very calming. And it was just like a sign that I need to use something, whether it's physically use the bits that we find or it's some sort of inspiration. So over that kind of year and a half, I just found boxes and I collected things. You know, whether it was a piece of wallpaper that I'd seen that I've never really noticed before. This was out of the living room, and as the plaster was coming down, obviously the wallpaper was coming down too, and yeah, it's strange, but I noticed it. I know that sounds very odd, but obviously when I come to the house, I'm coming to see a person or people, and we're having time, whether that's a coffee and a tin of biscuits and a chinwag. And it was almost like a comfort blanket, just for that moment when you stepped into the house, all your worries went away. Sometimes she'd just have the telly on and we didn't even talk, but you just felt, I don't know, you felt held, you felt safe. And it's not until we had to deconstruct, I guess, and pack away, that I then noticed all those little elements that built that room. And I don't know what it was. It's just a feeling. And I think the essence and feeling is something that I had to run with when I'm designing this house, because I'm sure that's how Nanny did it. You know, she would have gone to antique fairs and she'd pick something and love it, and then she'd probably knew exactly where she wanted it, or she wasn't too sure and then she found a place for it. I always remember there was a little tiny painting of some kind that I feel like she just specifically painted it for that spot. Instead of painting it for the sake of loving painting, she actually used her skill to then create something for a certain place in her home. So I definitely, have learned a lot, and I'm probably still learning. I don't, like I say, I'm not an expert, but little things like this, these little pieces, or I don't know what they are, treasure in my case, I didn't necessarily know where I was going to use it or if it was ever going to inspire me for something, but if I didn't keep hold of it, I felt like I would lose part of the house that I knew before. So that's kind of what I did that past year. So the kitchen is what I felt, there's so many moving parts with the kitchen that really it was my primary focus. I asked for the architect drawings and I put them into my computer program, Adobe, and I kind of drew over it of what I thought I wanted the layout. And luckily I can consult Lee and check that would physically work, engineering wise, and we'd go back and forth until I knew visually it would look good and he was happy that it would work sound, or we needed to speak to a civil engineer. An engineer of some kind. I don't know. Like I say, that's not my domain. That's why I'm so thankful I've got Lee. I'm all about how it looks, how it feels. Does it meet our needs, and how does it all flow? And Lee is just the person that listens and tries to, bless him, work out this code that I'm obviously splurting out, and he kind of builds it, whether that's using trades that he knows, or together we build the idea. So I essentially did what I'm about to show you. So I went on Pinterest, as we all do, just to get some ideas, and I just pin lots of things, like, oh, I really like that. I don't really think too much about it, I just pin it. And then I edit the pin, and I kind of section it out of which room is which. So I have like a pin board which is a certain, so mine was Orchard Road, because that's where we are, the house is there, and then I'd have segments of each room. So in kitchen, I'd pin all of these things and then I'd edit it. And I'd ask myself in each image, what is it? What is it about that picture that I like, or I want to create, or I want to kind of pinch that little bit of an idea? How can I make that work within this space and how I want to use it? And then I would send them to get printed off. And it's just for me. So, you know, I'm printing someone else's photo off, but it is literally for personal use. I just like to be tactile. I like to come away off anything digital and just, you know, spread it all over the worktop. And I use like a pin board, and I just pin things to it. And then I'll add maybe the wallpaper or a fabric sample that I found and kind of pull it in. And then I might sketch an idea taken from what I've seen. So that's kind of where I start, really. And I kind of then logically think about the flow of the house. So this is kind of my mood board for the kitchen. So like I say, I found little things when we were renovating. I don't really know where it came from, but I liked the little scallop edge. I love that it was brass. So I'd kind of keep that. These are some of the ceramic pieces that we found in the front garden. So I liked that kind of touch of the delf. Any swatches from wherever I went, paint colours, not necessarily those paint colours that I've, you know, ended up with, but it just gave me an idea of colours and tones. Some things I achieved from my board, like my oven that I really wanted. And then other things, it's more elements that really inspired me. So this doorway into the pantry, one, I love the colour, but a big part was that I needed this sort of glass look, kind of partition, I guess you call it, through to the pantry, because we are in the back of the house where there are no windows because we're built into the rock. So I knew that the pantry, even though I wanted to keep it cool, I would love some form of daylight to kind of come through. And then even like images like this, I knew that I didn't want everything built in. And I loved that this kind of smeg was on show in quite a rustic kitchen. So that was an element that I kind of pinched. I love the idea of it being out and not a built-in kind of fridge unit. So that's kind of how I create a mood board, and then I might draw things. So when I'm figuring out stuff, like this is the back of the kitchen, and I knew that I'd got Grandad's dresser and our kitchen table and Granny's chairs that were from her kitchen, that I knew that maybe I wanted to create that setup. And I did a lot of drawings, different ones on CAD, to really kind of figure out how I wanted the layout to look. Sometimes an image would just remind me of, say, like our door opens like that into the kitchen, and I quite liked this kind of low panelling. And I also love the occasional table, which we have inherited a few off Nanny, and of course the geranium. I mean, I'm working very hard on my own. I think she's an ivy geranium. But this one, I mean, she's glorious. If I can aim for anything that big, that'd be wonderful. Just little touches like that I'd love to incorporate. In the kitchen, we've still not finished. I would prefer to add a plate wall of some kind. So these are two images that I've had kind of hanging about. And there's other little details, but until I know how that's all gonna to work, you know, sometimes you just have to get the bare minimum of the workings, and some of the expensive things that you rely on, like the oven and the fridge, and then the character and the detail and the coving or the panelling, that kind of comes afterwards. And that really leads me on to the project that we're working on at the moment, which is the living room. So the living room, these are either things out of a magazine that I've seen, but mostly they're off Pinterest. And again, like I say, I just love to print them off, and it makes me feel like everything's a little bit more tactile. I can clearly see the images, kind of ask myself questions of what do I like about that image, why did I pick it? Yeah, so essentially I'll just kind of go through each image. So say if we start with this one, what I really love about this, and this is what I picked, was the detail of the panelling. And that's what's really inspired me for in the living room. I wanted the living room, because it was a new space, I wanted it to feel that it still had a form of heritage, but it felt a little bit different in some respects. I prefer more of the stripped back Georgian than the quite ornate Victorian panelling. And I felt like this would really work, especially because if you can imagine, our living room is then vaulted. So I really liked how this just framed and gave height to the room, and then on top of that we could leave the raw plaster of the vaulted section. So that was something that I really chose, and I actually picked it twice in a different shot. So I knew that was just a key part that I just kept coming back to that style. So that was the panelling for me that I really wanted to do. Some other things, it was just a matter of the double doors. Like, we always wanted the doors to go out from the living room into the front garden. So that image is just to kind of inspire me of, that's the feeling I wanted to have, you know, of the coffee table, the sofa, and it was straight outside. And again, this picture here kind of illustrates that it's a Georgian bar door. At the moment, our Georgian bar doors are just from Facebook Marketplace. We're not ready, and we certainly can't afford to have all the windows and doors done. So it's just what my granddad put in. But I really do like the Georgian bar, and I think because we're in a conservation area, we'll have to keep it anyway. So I'm just looking at different styles and what would work. I think that's actually a doorway, but I quite like the sofa in front of it. So that's something that I wanted to experiment with. And I don't know if you can tell, but it isn't vaulted, but for some reason, how it's been photographed, it kind of reminded me of that. So it was an inspiration to kind of see panelling and what it might look like vaulted. And it just has a very traditional, calming look. So I like those images. And then, yeah, there's other ones. There's I knew I wanted some of a kind of built-in piece, a bookcase. I felt like something in there needed to be built. And then other details, like I love the jute rug in here, and we have dark antique walnut furniture, which was Nanny's, and I love this textured kind of ruffle lamp. So it definitely, those sort of elements really spoke to me. I really love the traditional kind of chandelier. Nanny had a few of those, so I felt it's a classic look. I really like it. So yeah, I just gathered things that inspire me. I'll then bring in fabrics. So I've got a couple of fabrics here. So this is the fabric swatch of our sofa. And then I've just been looking for, I've got white linen kind of, I think they're from Zara, linen kind of curtains, which I'd love to keep, but I think I'm going to add another type of curtain with a heavier weight that might be something more like this beige, you can see in that light, which then picks up the sofa colours together. And I think it'll look quite nice with a little bit of a pleat in it, perhaps. So then in the winter time, I can pull this one over, and then in the summer months, I can just tuck that back and just use the linen ones. I found this gorgeous print fabric that I don't know, something about it. It reminds me of the blue and green floral print that Nanny found. I think I've got it actually. So this is the fabric that Nanny used in that spare bedroom, and I really love it. And I have thought about using it in the living room, but I'm not too sure. I feel like it needs, I don't know, part of me really wants to upholster something big in it, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm not, well, I don't want to say I'm brave enough. I just haven't quite got my head around it. And at the moment, they're too similar in some ways that I think if I had cushions out of this and this, it might clash a little bit. But who knows? But I think I'll look for maybe another accent colour cushion in this sort of grey that brings out the green in this print. But I really like that, it's so pretty. I'll think about where she's going to go. Who knows, I might end up with it. So they're kind of fabric samples. Paint colours, I'm going for what's in the kitchen. So that's Wimborne White. And then we're going for a hardwood floor, which is in the kitchen. We're running it through. And then I'm hoping that I can get a big rug made of this beautiful jute. It's really thick. And just have it taped, because I think that'll feel lovely under your foot. It's quite squishy, and obviously we've got a dog, so it's hard wearing, and it just adds a little bit. It kind of takes the room down a peg or two. It's not too regal. I don't know what the word is. And then I've reupholstered my little footstool in this. So at the moment it kind of works quite well. It's, you know, the colours can be brought in other ways, and I can keep the basics neutral just for now. And then again, like the kitchen, I just start drawing. So this is my first kind of sketch of what I was planning for bookcase. I felt like it really needed a nice large bookcase of some kind, and then this form of panelling that obviously I've found here in that Pinterest there. And that's kind of where I start. So I'll start drawing, sketching, and then Lee kind of finds a joiner, and it develops from there. Luckily, I've had an amazing joiner. He's really helped me with the process. He's been really patient with me of understanding and making choices, and it's really coming along. And that's kind of where we're at this stage at the moment. We've had the panelling done, I just thought it'd be really interesting to show you my kind of process, and I'll show you my process for each room as I go around. So I kind of print off, this is what I'm looking at for the top rooms. I've got a little bundle that I put together. I've got other fabric samples from different places that I'm gathering, and wallpapers. There's one for the bathroom. We've got a family bathroom to do. We've got a spare bedroom to do. And then my favourite is the back garden. I mean, that's going to be a huge project. But all of that inspiration is for top garden and kind of externals. So it's my heaven. This is where I like to kind of plan and create ideas, and then hope that some of it will come together. So yeah, now we'll kind of transform the living room a little bit. That'll be interesting to see. So I've just had a call from my dad, because that's what he does. So he rings and to see if I'm in. Come on, Bob-oms. And I love when he does it, because I know pretty much when we lost Grandpa. So I'm terrible at maths. So I lost Grandpa when I was 18. So what's that? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So for about 14 years, when he lost his dad, he used to come and see Nanny, his mum. And he used to just pop up. We all did, but obviously Dad always had a regular time of popping in. He wouldn't ring beforehand because she also started to lose her hearing, but he would pop up, have a coffee like we always would. She'd get the tin of biscuits out. I still can't find this tin actually that she used to have. You know, like one of those really old Quality Street tins, really old, like Victorian vibes. Yeah, and I think just that moment, knowing that he's ringing to say, are you in, that I get to give that back to him. That even though he's lost his mum, he still has the place to come over. And I don't always offer biscuits, but I definitely offer a coffee, like Nanny used to. So, yeah, it's moments like this, even though it happens almost every week, where he'll ring and say that he wants to pop up. But for me, I love that we can still do that he still has that opportunity to pop in and still get that feeling that he's kind of popping home, I guess. Yeah. So I think he's coming round to have a nosy because obviously we've just had the bookcase and the panelling finished. So he'll want a nosy. And what's really nice about that is that he's still involved. So even though he had loads of ideas and dreams about what he would do to this house, I think what's lovely is that he's like, I'll just sit back and watch what you and Lee do, but he kind of gets the excitement too of when there's something changing in the house, and he's like, oh, what have you been up to? So yeah, it's a really lovely part of having the house, is just seeing Dad enjoy it and seeing how our changes are. Yeah, he really looks forward to seeing it. Okay, so I'm going to set this up here so that when Dad arrives, and he obviously walks through, so walk in through the kitchen and see the bookcase for the first time really, and the panelling, even though it's not painted. It'll be nice just to record his reaction. You should normally ask permission before you record people, but I mean, he's my dad. And yeah, it would be really interesting to see what he thinks. So we'll see when they arrive. I'll press record. Oh.
Wow.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, transformed it.
It looks really solid, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It looks really well made. A little garlic bread. La 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 la. La 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 la. Olive oil. Garlic paste, wherever that is. Chin chin.
Chin.
Oh, you pick me a little bit of rosemary. Thank you, please. This is meant to be a PG recording.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Can't just touch my bum. This one's ready though.
Nice.
If you're ready to
Yeah.
pop her in. Crikey. Got OTT on the
Garlic.
No, on the salt. Salt levels are alright.
I'm using the dead bit.
Doesn't matter. What do you mean the dead bit? What, because it's brown?
Yeah.
Happy rate, as they say. That came off easier. Like a whole plant on there. You could take a cutting. Right, there you go. Save a bit for my pizza, I think. The expert.
Actually, now.
So I think Lee orders these sourdoughs off Amazon, and they come in like a big box, all like frozen, freezer ready. And you just take them out of the freezer. I don't think you need that long. Now I took these out at 11 o'clock. It's now 5:30. I just base a little bit of olive oil in a bowl so it doesn't stick. And then we use Sel Marina. Apparently it makes the, don't know, just feels a bit more authentic. I think it makes the dough a little crispier than say flour. But it's a nice little treat on Friday night, and we've had glorious weather again this week. Might as well act as if we're on holiday. Let's go and see. Let's go and see Lee. All sorted?
Yeah.
So good. What? Obviously, we need to clear the sofas out of the room.
Well, I was going to know.
Or is it just need more corking? Corking first.
Corking and filling. And depending on how that dries, then we can put the first coat in. Yeah.
What? When you say corking, what are you corking?
Everything.
That doesn't. No, I need details.
All the edges.
I don't want the edges. I don't think.
You
Of
need
the
to-
panelling.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you do. Because you'll end up with black lines.
Right. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It needs to be done properly.
No, no,
All
no.
the joints of the dagos.
Well, I get it. And Victorians didn't have cork. That stopped in your tracks. Victorians.
They'll have had something. And also, this isn't Victorian, it's Georgian.
That's very true. So if the Victorians didn't have it, the Georgians definitely didn't have it. Because the Georgians came before the Victorians. So you haven't outsmarted me there.
But what I'm saying is they'll have had some sort of
Putty,
putty. Yeah,
do you think?
yeah.
Mind you, I guess it was all made out of wood. Whereas we've got wood onto plaster. Like they would have done actual wooden panels, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
If you don't, you'll end up with black lines. So all the joints need filling where the boards are.
Yeah,
So you need to get some filler out.
okay.
So I can cork, you can fill. Where the nails are, that needs filling. All the skirting needs filling.
Yeah. And then also on the bookcase.
And on the bookcase, yeah.
My tummy's rumbling. I feel like we need food before work. An outfit change. Don't want to get any filler on me. What hair am I
Don't be like-
No, just a human hair. Are you having another coffee?
No, I've had two. Shall I switch this off?
Yeah. It's, what day is it? I feel like I'm losing track of days. I don't know if it's the summer effect, because during the summer I go a lot quieter in my work, which is great because all these little renovation jobs that need ticking off, I've got time to do them. But yeah, I lose track of days. So yeah, it's Tuesday today. I've had Pilates this morning. I find that really good. Just, yeah, I don't know, just feel strong, which is good, which is really good. And yeah, just having a coffee, my breakfast. I use these my Burley breakfast mugs. Very nice. I'd really love them in blue though. I don't know. They were very kind, and a few years ago Burley gifted me the breakfast set, and I could choose any colour, and I chose dark green. I mean, who am I? Why did I not choose blue? Anyway, it is what it is. It's nice. They've got a very autumn feel, or very autumnal. They are very pretty. Great size, you know, when you just want a long coffee. And then these, I mean, I think this one I actually bought in England, Wales, when I went to Bailey's, a really beautiful shop, interiors and all sorts, and antique vintage things. But I also bought a huge one when I went to France, which has got my hydrangea cuttings at the moment. But I'm really enjoying my blueberry yogurt and a little Palo crunch on top. That's just what I need in the morning. And then I sit out here because why wouldn't I? While ever it's dry. We did have rain this morning, which was nice. The garden is really lapping it up. And that's really what I was thinking about today. I need to plan, as I can feel it's getting a little bit more autumnal. I want to plan where I'm going to move things in the garden. Some things need actually planting. We've got some hebe bushes that we've bought to replace the box hedges that we lost from caterpillars. So there's a set that we've got that need to be put the other side against the wall. And then, yeah, I'm just kind of working out what did well, what I'd like to see more of. Hopefully I can either propagate or take cuttings, and what hasn't really done well and probably either needs more shade or more sun. The front garden has got full sun for most of the day, probably until 2 o'clock in the summer, 2:30. So it's just kind of understanding that. It's tricky because we've had a really hot summer. So some things that look like they've done really badly in the full sun probably would embrace it if it wasn't the crazy 39 degrees that we've had. And then I really want to try with my Annabella hydrangeas, this thing that I've seen a lady share, where she has put a stem down. She's used a peeler, I think, like a potato peeler, on the stalk, on the stem, used root powder, I think, put it under the ground, and it's kind of rudely interrupted there because I'm dog sitting at the moment, and they just bark at anything that goes past. So I've spared your ears. They've calmed down now. The man has gone away. So I want to try that technique with the hydrangea. I want to try that technique with the hydrangea, with the Annabella, because I think they do really well under the bay window. They seem to like sun, not too much, but I think for them heat, you know, they're pretty good with. The other hydrangeas, not so much. I think I need to find a little bit more of a shaded spot. They prefer more dappled sun, morning sun. So I think I've got a spot for those. So yeah, just kind of, I think it's always good anyway to kind of reassess what's worked, what hasn't, what's died. I thought I'd lost my clematis. Some people say clematis, some say clematis. Anyway, I bought one for around the front door because I'd spotted that on the old photo of my great grandparents, there's actually, I think it's clematis. Let me know how you say it. Anyway, it's trailing, I think, around the door. So, but the sun, the heat, absolutely killed it. And yeah, I couldn't believe it yesterday. It looks like it's come back. So that's good. That needs a little tending too. So yes, I need to list out a load of jobs and how I want to rearrange the garden slightly. So that's one of my jobs, so that when I'm in September I can just get stuck in and start ticking things off over the weekend in between work. And then I've cut out a piece of fabric for some new cushions that I want for the living room, and it's probably been cut out for over a month and I've not sewn it together. So I was really hoping while it's quiet in the summer that I would try and do that. So I think I'm gonna put that on my list this week. And then yeah, I don't know what else really. I've got a shoot. I've still got more to paint in there, but I'm just gonna give it a rest. I feel like my arthritis is kicking in. I'm feeling old now. You know, when you get kind of like the claw when you're holding the paintbrush. Yeah, so I need to give my hands a break, and I'll do something else today and then back onto the painting, because we're up to a deadline as well. That all needs to be done in 2 weeks' time. I'm sure we will do it. We always do. We're very good at deadlines. So yeah, I'll share a little bit of that, of what I'm getting up to today, and I'm going to enjoy my coffee and enjoy that it's not raining. I've just got to have a little walk around the garden, really. So there's these little bits here, which are, it's great because they go green. Look how green they look. But then there's some other bits where they haven't like bloomed, so they're just green leaves. So I think I've got to take those, and that's when you bury them underneath. So I'd like to continue these all under the bay window. And then these little hydrangeas, they've done really well here. It's a bloody bit of, I don't know, bloody weeds. You know, all your plants die, but your bloody weeds continue to live on, don't they? I think I'm going to move these maybe right over here near this shed, because the sun comes up over there and then goes round the house. So I feel like this part, it'll be in shade, and it really needs something. I've got hellebores. I mean, the hellebores are flowering, which is very odd. Well, in my mind, I find it odd. And then I'd really love to assess these. I feel like the sage, as lovely as it is, I don't use it as a herb, and it just really overbears this whole herb section. So I think I'm going to have to get rid of it. I might just chop it down. This side does better than this side, so I think this one's definitely going. And you just miss all the other lovely bits which are here. There's mint and thyme, oregano. And then this side, I've been trying to grow rhubarb, which it seems to be quite happy, but I don't know why, because I know that strawberries run like wildfires, like they just take over, but this is really extreme. So I think I'm going to have to weed out all of the strawberries. I might be able to take some of them as plants and put them in pots, but we'll have to see. There's a buddleia over here, which I don't know, it feels quite sad. I don't know if it's not had enough water, or it needs watering in, or it's just too much sun. So I'm going to find a shadier spot for her, the same as this is meant to be a magnolia tree, but she's never really took off, so I'm not too sure. I need to find a home for her. I prefer her to be in the ground, but before we renovate the top garden, it might be that she has to live in a pot for a year or two before I move her up. And then, yeah, just I want to figure out something under this window. I did buy some anemones, but they've not really taken. And I'd like to assess this area. So I imagined more of like a terracotta pot that's kind of filled with water and it just bubbles, just so like birds can have a drink or a bath, and it just, I love the sound of it. And then some plants in the ground, so it actually is landscaped, and then other parts are in pots. So the rosemary just does better when it's in the ground. I've actually had to move this one when we've been planting down near the wall, and it's just never been happy really. So I think I'll see a better signs from those two plants once they're actually in the ground. That thyme bush is amazing, so maybe, I don't know, thyme seems to be quite nice here. It just seems to like it, so I don't know, I might risk it and pop it that in the ground, just so we've got different layers, I think. And what I'd really like is to bring the agapanthus that are against the wall over near the seating area. I'd like to bring them here, so then the late spring, early summer, they kind of fronds out a bit, along with Gora, which didn't really do that well this year, but I've taken cuttings and they've taken, and there's a little plant here that's doing okay. So I think with the Gora and the agapanthus and the lavender, it should give it height and movement in the wind. There's also some, I call it broom because I learnt that name through a florist. I think it's called something else. I'll have a look for that. But that's again quite grassy, so in the spring it kind of comes up with these tiny little white flowers, and like now they're just lovely kind of evergreen, long, again frondsy. So I think that's what I'm going to kind of create round here. I might add some other little bits, but I feel like this could be quite nice, and almost the height creates a little bit of shelter for the birds to encourage them to come. And then the rose, this is an iceberg rose that I got from a garden centre, and it did produce beautiful big roses. I think now it's just going on its way out a little bit, so they're a lot smaller, but there's new growth there, and I think I'm going to pop her on this obelix. I don't know if I'm going to use that obelix. I would love the larger kind of wood obelix, so we'll try and make one, who knows, but I think that would be quite nice with the herbs in the middle.
You look very casual.
Thank you. I'm just going through my garden, deciding what I'm going to move.
Move?
Yeah, what needs moving, I've taken some cuttings of things.
Have you?
Yeah, I like propagation.
Well, it looks very nice.
Well, it's a bit, in my mind, it's a bit tatty, but
Well, when you think
these,
how it was,
oh yeah,
you've got to look how it was.
yeah, always room for improvement though, Paul.
What are you doing today apart from tidying up your garden?
Well, we've been painting inside, so I've been painting, and I've got some cushions I've got to make.
You make cushions?
Yeah.
I can't make cushions.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to start.
I enjoy sewing.
I can't even make a proper crumble because
Can you not make a crumble?
I know it never seems right. I mean, I never did any cooking. I was not allowed in that kitchen. You're in the garden. I'm in the
Oh, well, if you ever want me to come and pick some apples, I'll make you a crumble.
Well, I'll take you up on that later. Not yet, because I'm not
No,
doing it.
but let me know when they're ripe.
But
Nice.
if you wanted to make some crumbles, you're welcome to come and get some.
Yeah, I'll make you a crumble.
Make me a crumble.
Absolutely.
I bet you're a good cook. I've got a feeling that you are.
Yeah, I've got it.
See you later.
See you later. Alfie, come on, baby. This side. Oh, I forgot about this. It's always nice to catch up with the neighbours. They're just all lovely, which is really nice because we've got a little lane that we all share to go off to our houses. You obviously, you get chatting when you're out the front garden. And it's so nice, like they've seen the change of like the rubble up to here to now how it's been developed. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, my dad dropped off some lavender. I thought he was just going to give me like a bunch, but he's given me a whole bag. But I'd like to bunch some of that up and put that in the pantry. So I've got that job to do. Lots to do. And I've just been offered apples, which is wonderful. So when it's apple season, I'll go up and go and get some. So that's kind of it. Yeah, it's just good to assess what I've got to do, what I've got to change. Olive trees aren't that happy. I don't know if it's been over or under watering. It's so difficult to tell. My dad watered them every single day when it was the big heat wave and we were in France. And they were okay, but they started going a bit brown. And I guess for me, I was like, maybe I need to give them a break. But then someone said it's probably a lack of water. So I don't know. That's the thing with gardening. You never quite know. It's all an experiment. You've just got to give it a go and hope for the best. So I always like to just draw things out, and not like the whole garden necessarily, but say the bed under, you've got like the window there, and there's a little bed under the window. So if we say that's the window, and then you've got this little bed here, and then this is all gravel. And then there's like a box that we've created that's got the herbs in. I really like the thyme that I've actually put in either corner. So I kind of draw that out. And then I'd like to create or have some form of obelix in there. And that's where I can imagine the rose being, kind of take over. And what's nice about that also is that from the window, when I'm sat in the window, I'll be able to see the rose, as well as then the view over this side. And then I've still got mint in there, and then we're going to cut back the sage a little bit so the sage can still hang over, but we can reduce that and the other little herbs in the box. And then I might underneath just remind myself, so iceberg, white rose, obelix, and then we'll keep the thyme in there, and then other small herbs. And that's just kind of like a way of me giving me an idea of what I've decided to do. And then underneath I might do jobs, move, rose, buy, make, obelix. I mean, that might be a Lee job. He doesn't know that yet. The thyme is already positioned and the small herbs, so maybe just cut back herbs. And that's kind of what I create every time I'm like planning out something and how I want it to look. And then we talked about the other box, so that's a little bit further over. And I've got rhubarb in there at the moment. That just reminds me, that's the rhubarb. I've got my forcing pots, which are for rhubarb, but I believe they also can be used for kale, which I'd like to give a go. The main thing I need to check is what can grow alongside rhubarb, because this soil, there are definitely herbs and vegetables and fruits that don't always mix. So it's really important to check that. But I would like to keep the strawberry plant if I can, and just keep it to that kind of corner. Hiya, you right?
You're not that house off the telly, are you?
Yes.
I knew what I thought it was. I can't believe me.
Doesn't happen often, but I just had a couple stop and say, were you the house on the telly? But it's always nice when people, because you just think, who watches TV nowadays? Hence why I'm doing a YouTube, fingers crossed. That's where people are at and enjoying watching. But yeah, it's so nice. We have at least a couple that pop up most weeks, and Lee doesn't unfortunately get to meet them because they don't always pop up on a weekend. And with it being summer, I try to work outside as much as possible. So when I'm sat out on my laptop or something, they go, "Is you the house?" But yeah, it's always so lovely because you just think you've made it part of your day to climb up that hill, because it's a steep hill, and come and look for us. So if you ever fancy popping over and having a look at the house, hopefully I'm in, and hopefully I'm in the garden so I can see you and have a catch up. It's always nice to have a little chat. But yeah, so lovely. Anyway, back to my drawings. Like I was saying, so I like to do a little drawing, and then I do a little job list. And that's kind of like it's more in my head. I just like to know what I'm doing, what my plan is. And then I feel like I've got jobs. Once it kind of hits autumn, it's a bit cooler and I've got jobs to do. So that's kind of how I approach it. And then I always love to go to B&M They do great little shrubs and things, or B&Q sometimes. I use Crocus, they're a great company. Local garden centres, that's also where I shop. Only because I feel like the plant is probably more climatised to where I live than if I was to buy it down south. I don't know. I think I've heard that on the grapevine. But especially roses, if I look for any. Yeah, maybe Costco. They do the great olives. That's where we got our olive trees from. But yeah, I bit of a magpie. You want to just kind of see something. I'm trying to control myself and ask myself, do I have room for the plant? Can I keep it alive? And where, does it go like with my colour scheme? Because obviously my colour scheme mostly is just white, green. But I am venturing into blue because, as you've seen over the past few days, I'm obsessed with this new jumper. I feel like I saw something on Instagram saying that when you've reached the late summer, when the blues come out. No idea if that's true or not, but the blues are out. So yeah, that's kind of what I need to get up to in September. I'm going to have some lunch, do a little cleaning, and then I think I'm going to, I don't know, I've either got to do some filling in before we paint again. I've got to paint again this evening or this afternoon, and I also need to, I really want to make these cushions. I'll show you the fabric anyway. I'll show you the fabric for the cushions, see what you think. And yeah, I just need to crack on, sit down, maybe have a nice podcast on or something, and just, get in the zone. And then I've got a little bit of work to do. So yesterday didn't go very well, as in it wasn't very productive. I got stuck in editing this YouTube, because I was like, gosh, I've got so much content. I really need to get ahead of this, because before I know it, it's going to be Wednesday. And then the day just slipped away. I needed a bath because, Pilates really got to me. But are you coming up? I love that he does this. Is this on your seat? Hi, buddy. Hi. So yes, I've got to, it's Tuesday afternoon. Haven't done a second undercoat, so that's my plan this afternoon, evening, in between food shop and everything else. And then, yeah, we'll be getting somewhere. It's just dawning on me that we're already in. It's less than 2 weeks now until I've got my first Christmas shoot of 2026. So I let Grace Cottage out for people that have products. So it could be homeware, home interiors, ceramics, jewellery, vitamins, anything that's kind of lifestyle essentially. And next Friday, before that, I've got to bring the Christmas tree down. Next Friday is my first shoot of the year, which is Christmas. And my client, Kate, it's actually really lovely because she was the first person that hired Grace Cottage when we finished last year. And it was a Christmas shoot. So it's been full circle. I think she's hired us at least twice now, maybe 3 times. And I just love it because in my industry, because I've been a photographer for over 8 years now, I've gone from my spare bedroom trying to create some form of backdrop for clients and their products, to converting my old bedroom at my dad's. We put like an IKEA kitchen sink and God knows what. And now I have a whole house where I can offer clients that same experience so they can compete with the big guys. You know, like, I mean, no one can compete with John Lewis Christmas, but you know, it's that sort of opportunity for them. And it's lovely because I get to work at home and I get to stay with this one. So yeah, it's really lovely, and to share the space with other creative, like-minded people. So yes, this needs to be painted, as in another undercoat, 2 top coats, and the floor's got to be done. And the Christmas tree down. All within the space of a week. So I'll let you know how I get on. You'll find out next, in 2 weeks' time, when I share this next YouTube. And other than that, really, I just wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in. If you've already watched some of our Instagrams, or you've even watched us on the telly, you know, it means a lot to us. I don't know whether what we're creating and sharing has legs, and I don't know what opportunities may come of it. But as Lee always says, you've got to be in it to win it. So why not have some fun and document it along the way? We really loved filming with Channel 4. It was so much fun. Even though it's just me and a camera most of the time, it's nice to look back on our journey. So even if it's just for that at the end of the day, great. But please comment if there's something that you feel you'd love to see more of, or you've got questions that, you know, feel free to drop them in the comments, as they say, I guess, down below. Please be kind. There's no need to be mean. I'd like to think that this is a kind space, and I probably just won't get back to you. So yeah, crack on if you want to. And then I'm going to leave you with, I said I would the other day show you the fabric for the cushions that I'm doing in here, and this is what I have. So it's cut out, ready for making a cushion, and I've got a few more that I've got to cut out. I've ordered some samples as well from Peony and Sage, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if I'll get that done by the Christmas shoot, but we'll give it a go. Who knows? I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. You ready, Alf? Shall we go? Come on. I've got to paint. I know.